Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. It's no secret that our parents are all liars. We all learned about Santa Claus. We all learned that going to school will get you a good job. We all learned that eventually you will be able to pay back that student debt. These are lies, but they're not lies that surprise anyone anymore. We know these things. We all know these things. We knew these things before we committed to higher education. But since leaving this wonderful world that you all, or I suppose not all, many of you still find yourselves in, I discovered further falsehoods. Things that I still thought were true, but simply weren't. We're going to talk about my journey through employment and what lies I discovered and what I learned from them. For example, did you know that even after you graduate and are fortunate enough to find a job, you probably aren't going to be an employee? They're going to have another word for you. Contractor. Now, contractors are like employees in that they do work. But contractors are unlike employees in that they have no rights or benefits or guarantees of continued work. Now, this sounds like a raw deal. And some of you are thinking, I've got a specialized skill. There's no way that will happen to me. And others of you are thinking, well, that's okay. I'll just keep going to school. But the reality is, employment has changed. You will end up slaving away in an underappreciated and unsecure contract position at some point in your life. Because that is how they vet you for real people jobs. Learning that lesson was very difficult for me. I didn't apply to many jobs because I was not going to stand for this. I'm better than contract. You should give me a real job. That's a lie. What I learned instead was that you have to endure, to persevere through these positions, because everyone else is. And at the end of the day, having a contract job in your past is a lot better than having nothing, or continuing to deliver pizzas, which was my alternative. Now, once you persevere and you've endured, and you find an opportunity to get out of this contract trap, you might think, okay, this is what I trained for. But you'd be wrong. It's another lie. In my movement through Chrysler Corporate, because that's where the last 2 years of my life have been spent, I have met a chemical engineer in accounting. I have met a history major selling cars to dealers. I have met a literature major who's a senior manager in product planning. What this demonstrates is that what you're taking in school, while it interests you, while you enjoy it, there are decent odds that you're going to end up doing something you have no idea how to do after graduating. I went from logistics to product planning. I also had a PR, a public relations job in there. None of these things are what I went to school for. I went to school for advertising, essentially. Any thought you might have of a constant, logical career path advancing in your own field? Hold on to it. But like most dreams, there's nothing there. Be prepared, be flexible enough to recognize an opportunity beyond the immediate end. Flexibility is the key virtue of the workforce now. If you can leave or you can do another thing besides what you already do, that's fantastic because they can pay half the salary. So they'll pick you. Don't be married to what you want to do if an opportunity arises that isn't that. The third lie I'd like to discuss is that you will be taken care of. This isn't one that's as widely believed, but it became very relevant very recently. You see, Chrysler has recently changed the way they handle pensions. Specifically, you may have heard the phrase 30 and out, which means you serve for 30 years, and then you leave with a full pension. Not so much anymore. all those people with 20 years are a little bit upset because they thought they were 10 years from retirement and now they're 20 or 15. Do not expect anything to be there besides what you have created. Prepare and plan for the future. The reality is we live in a world that is getting very old. More and more people are living off the system and not off their work, which is wonderful, except there's a finite amount of dollars in the world. And the more that are being absorbed by non-earners, the fewer will be available for your future unproductive years. Do not rely on your employer or employers to do anything for you. If you're fortunate to get a pension, fantastic, buy a boat, but don't live on it. The pension, not the boat. Because if you're expecting it, it may not be there for you. So, our parents lied to us. We all learned that at varying ages. Anyone who still believed any of those earlier mentioned myths, I apologize for shattering your illusions. It's not going to be an ideal working world. I thought it would be. I had difficulty adjusting. So I come to you today less naive than I was before. And I hope that you too will have learned a little bit from my foolishness. Madam Toastmaster.